The Bloodline officially runs out of family members and has to debut someone outside The Rock's WrestleMania 40 family tree infographic. John Cena's final WWE match ever revealed, a potential injury, and more in my review of WWE Backlash 2025.
Support WrestleTalk!
Before I get into the review though, super kick that subscribe button and enable notifications to always on so you know when our podcast review of Backlash goes live, along with all the fallout on Raw tomorrow. And yes, AEW coverage too, which we will have on Thursday. Please stop hating me. Michael Cole welcomed us to Backlash in St. Louis and introduced Wade Barrett as his co-commentator for the night, because Pat McAfee is preparing for his match against Gunther later on. So you're telling me I both get to see McAfee chopped red raw, and I get to listen to Wade all show? Gunther, you have now officially replaced Cody Rhodes as the #1 face in the company. The United States Championship Fatal 4-Way was a great choice for the show's opening match, letting Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, Drew McIntyre and Damien Priest fight all over the arena with the no DQ stipulation. It was also a neat dovetail from WrestleMania 41 for those in the future who are just watching the premium live events back to back. Here is technically 2 WrestleMania rematches, with Fatu versus Knight and Priest versus McIntyre. The name of the show is Backlash, after all, but they're all made fresh by combining them into one match all over the US title. The pre-existing rivalries paired off early, but the match really came alive when Fatu and McIntyre, both the most popular characters in the match despite being heels, started trading blows. Fatu then went on a brilliant run that climaxed in a dive outside and swanton bomb in the ring, making him seem like the biggest face of the mid-card. Biggest face of the undercard, obviously, is JD McDonough. There was a big head joke. The final third of the match resorted back to the Mania feuds, with Priest brilliantly once again screwing Drew, pulling the referee out of a count at the very last nanosecond when Drew had it won after hitting a Claymore on Knight. A Claymore on Knight sounds medieval. They brawled into the crowd where Priest hit a South of Heaven on McIntyre off a platform through a table. PW Insider would later report that Drew had to be checked out backstage by medical because his head missed the table and hit the floor hard. Brian Alvarez added that he was being evaluated for a concussion. Triple H described Drew as being a little banged up, but is totally fine in the post-show press conference, which hopefully means he's alright. The spot took both Priest and McIntyre out of the finish back nearer the ring, where Knight was about to hit an elbow through the announce table when Solo Sikoa pulled Fatu to safety. But that wasn't all, because former New Japan star Jeff Cobb then made his debut, shockingly not wearing a black hoodie like every other member of the Bloodline when they debuted, to take out Knight. Interestingly, although Fatu went on to win the match, he looked confused and maybe annoyed at what Solo had done. In kayfabe, he definitely didn't know that Sikoa was bringing in Cobb, which will undoubtedly cause friction, especially if he starts to think that Solo's brought Cobb in to replace him, now that he's starting to outshine Sikoa. As a little bit of genealogy, because I'm an expert on the Anoa'i family tree, Tama Tonga and Tongaloa aren't blood relations of the Anoa'i family by Western standards, but the Tongan's father, Haku, is considered the Rock's uncle in Samoan culture. But Cobb, like Sami Zayn and Paul Heyman and Samoa Joe, has no blood or familial connections to the real-life Bloodline family. Cobb is actually from Guam, is of Filipino descent, and has built his name in New Japan. PW Insider had already reported Cobb will be part of the SmackDown roster, and he was signed by WWE the week before WrestleMania 41, despite still being that active New Japan Tag Team Champion, which he had to vacate. It was thought WWE would use him for something urgently, like Orton's surprise Mania opponent, considering they didn't let him drop his New Japan title. But turns out they actually didn't plan to debut him for about a month, and they probably just wanted to screw over New Japan. While Backlash always looked like a fun card, the criticism coming in was that it was just too predictable. Fatu was retaining, no way they're taking the title off of Cena, Gunther beats McAfee, and Becky Lynch beats Lyra for the Intercontinental. Son of a bitch! Usually when 5 out of 5 results look too easy to predict, wrestling is going to give you a surprise. And that's what we got here, as Lyra beat Becky with a sudden roll-up at the end of a 19-minute match, the second longest of the night. It was an inspired choice. While Lyra and Becky did feud in NXT, that was in 2023, and the story WWE restarted for them at Mania, Bayley being attacked, Becky returning, her and Lyra winning the tag belts, her and Lyra losing the tag belts, and Becky turning heel, all in the space of 24 hours, was far too rushed to get you invested in their characters and the relationship between them. But Lyra has excelled most when she can tell her stories in the ring rather than on promos. Think of her great Queen of the Ring final against Nia Jax last year, and her and Becky putting on a great match here of technical outwitting, finisher counters, cheating, and hubris. Lyra kicking out of 2-man slams got her over strong. It felt like they were protecting her in defeat, but Becky constantly cheating, grabbing a chair, exposing a turnbuckle, actually led to her getting pinned rather than winning. It gives a far more interesting, more unhinged Lynch, and it gives Lyra and her IC belt its first substantial title defense. Rather than have a sponsor as its focus, the ring mat was playing mind games with Penta in the men's Intercontinental title match, where Dom complimented the Morgan & Morgan logo in the middle of the canvas by hitting Liv's Oblivion finisher at one point. But another mid-card title, another champion who's part of a faction that will likely get involved for the finish. After a Canadian destroyer from Penta on the apron, Carlito distracted the referee for JD McDonough and Finn Balor to take out Penta. But Finn took too long to get a chair, teasing that breakup again, as you don't know whether he's doing it intentionally, and the referee went to eject them. But while that was happening, El Grande Americano hit Penta with the loaded mask for Dirty Dom to retain. Michael Cole set the stage for his friend Pat McAfee versus the bully Gunther by apologising. Pat is his friend, so for the first time in his career, he's going to be biased. I guess we're just going to forget about 2010 to 2012 heel Michael Cole, who was incredibly biased against every single babyface. To be honest, I don't mind totally wiping that from continuity, as it really boosted this match's emotional stakes. Going a surprisingly long 14 minutes, this was a very well laid out match to keep it interesting while never once undermining Gunther's in-ring threat. 95% of it was Gunther just swatting McAfee around. Despite often being quite off-putting on commentary, Pat's selling and general performance was terrific. Wade ended up doing the commentary as Cole got more and more sucked into the drama. He even went to ringside to cheer Pat on, which let Gunther drag him in the ring and threaten a powerbomb, giving McAfee a spot to save him. But ultimately, Gunther is inevitable, and he made Pat pass out in the sleeper. Didn't really feel like the end of a feud, but I also don't know where they go from here, as Gunther should be doing something more serious now. Bring on Bill Goldberg! It was then I got a sense of enormous dread. I saw there were 45 minutes left on this show for John Cena versus Randy Orton. While I hated actually living through Cena and Orton's never-ending, creatively bankrupt, boring rivalry that came at the expense of pushing a whole generation of more exciting wrestlers, I can't deny this had the weight of history. It really was the last time. And yes, I could be glib and say thank God because I never want to see them wrestle again, but I actually found myself feeling loss. Like when you weirdly get nostalgic for the something that's still happening in real time. And maybe that's why I'm enjoying the Cena run more than a lot of other people. Even though it's not had The Rock involved, even though his promo segments feel repetitive, I can't shake the amazement I'm still feeling that I'm getting to watch John Cena as a heel. It's so novel and something I thought we'd never get, but I'm just grateful for seeing it play out. Kind of regardless of quality. But then they wrestled for 10 minutes and I thought actually maybe this is a bad idea. They traded chinlock spots. Randy had a 30-second headlock just a few minutes into the match. I had to check Netflix because I thought I accidentally knocked it into 0.75 speed. Those opening 10 minutes felt more like 10 days. Thankfully, it turned out they were just storing up finishers, because then all they did was just hit AAs and RKOs for the next 20. RKO reversed into AA, another AA, the best RKO of the year, which Randy suddenly hit on the second of Cena's routine shoulder blocks. A punt missed into an AA. Cena missed his own punt, pushed Randy into a referee, then hit an AA. He went to use the belt, but Randy hit an RKO. The ref took another bump. Orton hit an AA on Cena onto the commentary table, which somehow broke 15 seconds after Cena hit it. Even the table was working slow. Orton hit another AA through another table as the match was now the smoke and mirrors of hardcore spots. Those 10 minutes honestly felt like 2. RKO back in the ring, another ref runs down but Cena kicks out. Another ref bump, another RKO for a visible 20 count. But all the officials, including Nick Aldis, ran down to check on the fallen refs. So Randy RKO'd all of them, including Aldis, surely setting up a match between them eventually. Orton goes for a punt, but R-Truth stops him. So Randy RKO's R-Truth. Cena hits a low blow and a belt shot, which is kind of his new heel finisher, to retain. This was fun sports entertainment. All the finishers, multiple ref bumps, an authority figure getting wiped out, a random R-Truth appearance. The only thing it was missing that I feel was explicitly set up was Cena targeting Orton's family members, like Cowboy Bob Orton, as they were in the Orton family's hometown. Cena finished the show telling production to cut his music. He doesn't need music, he needs competition, setting up the next challenger, which will be at the next PLE, Money in the Bank. And his most famous Money in the Bank opponent, CM Punk, just so happened to reference Cena on Instagram right after, and Punk has been announced for a segment on tomorrow's episode of Raw. That's very much likely Cena's next match, but his final match has potentially also been leaked. A Boston radio show has claimed that Cena Sr., try saying that 5 times in a row, John's father, told them that Cena's final match will take place in December at the TD Garden in Boston, which is an hour away from where Cena grew up. WWE have yet to officially announce this show, so it's unknown whether it will be a PLE or an episode of TV. WWE Backlash 2025 was 70%. Now how about you go watch something totally different? Like Dom and Sully trying to kidnap the Pope in 1066 in Crusader Kings 3. Here's a clip.
Oh no, so many people died. 3 people died.
Did the Pope die?
No.
Did the Pope die?
I think the Pope's
Oh
fine. I
my
think
God.
the Pope's fine. It might just be us and the Pope.
Okay.
Nachman died. Lan died.
Nachman's dead.
And
Ruel's dead.
And did she die as well, or
Sarazin, not dead.
not dead? No,
But
just she lost the baby, which is very sad.
Not baby anymore.
Oh God!
Okay, but we must press on.
We must
press on. It's been so dangerous.
Oh, we've got no provisions.
We've got no provisions. We lost all our apples. But we've still got